Karis at mouse or a keyboard, and we don't know which, but somebody
gotta
was
be a good one,
sprinting
too.
around and making sure that everybody had spares ready to go, because it said outside of the arena. But we're in draft, Yanni. Let's take it away.
Yep, we already see EDG. A wise ban already. The Skarner going to be taken away from Monki. It has been the ace pick for him all year, especially in Split 3. Almost an auto win. We touched on the Poppy earlier. We are going to see Team WE lock in that first pick rumble, so we're going to give the ball once again to Q.
Okay, so again, we talked about the most played champions for WE. It is this Rumble, and it is the Yorick that we expect to see probably a little bit later on in the series. Let's just give Gwen over. Looking in terms of those mid laners as well, Talia is something that is still open. We can maybe see a Talia Orianna trade coming through for these teams. First pick of the majority of our junglers as well, still available for EDG if they want to, and they've taken the Xin Zhao here to make sure that they've got that early aggression and that Xiaohao can at the very least attempt to disrupt Monki.
Interesting if they elect to go for this a little earlier. Okay, so we're going to lock in the Nico here. This is either going to mean that we're assuming that it's going to go support, but this will mean that you'll either miss out on your choice of mid laner or top laner. Yunara will be the lock-in. We've seen Taeyoon already do some crazy things on this champion.
Yeah, this is a pick that he's piloted a couple of times. We've seen him take a couple of victories on it as well. But this is the answer that we so frequently see come from bot lanes. When Yunara gets picked, Kai'Sa will get picked into it just as an answer so far. I mean, both AD carries with relatively short range that need a little bit more time to get the ball rolling, and Kai'Sa almost one of the really weak AD carries in the early game, that is. So when you can give her a little bit of free time to try to roam and try to scale up into that mid game, into that 2-3 item spike, you can have really strong impact on this champion, and you get that time with Yunara needing it as well. This does mean in the second phase for WE and for EDG that there are going to be some significant pinches. That jungle role we expect to see pinched by EDG, so your Wukongs, your maybe even your Jarvans could get taken off the board. Vi as well, something that could rise in priority for these two teams. The Pantheon, something that we completely forgot about, but gets taken off the board as well. And then as WE looking to take away probably those top laners, so the Gwen might get taken off the board, and Ambessa that we frequently see answer the Rumble could be removed as well.
I wonder if we'll also see a Talia get banned from WE just to break up the strong combo with the Xin Zhao. Obviously, you know, EDG a little bit more of a dive-centric composition, so they might just say, hey, you know what, you can have that. What I did find really interesting is I wonder if EDG are going to ban a Wukong or a Vi or something like that, because Monki has not won a game on these champions all year long. They will ban the Wukong, still respecting it anyway.
Yeah, so taking away that champion and really making sure that we are sort of pigeonholed Monki into almost a lower tier of junglers. I know that Vi completely fell out of the meta in terms of the first game priority, but it does mean that, you know, we could see it end up being picked up here by Monki. The Ambassador, the other answer to the Rumble, does get taken off the board. It means, like you say, that Talia is open. We probably want one of those AD bridging junglers for WE as well, so that Vi, that Jarvan could be a possibility, though I don't really like it when I see Kai'Sa on the other side. But EDG here, they've got their free reign really of mid laners. Both of these teams completely foregoing mid in the bans in that second phase, and it looks like they're just going to look to try and save counter pick for Angel actually. So we've got the Talia Orianna side of things. If both of these teams want to take that trade, it's about really taking the Talia. Means that the enemy gets Orianna, which is fine. We've got Aurora still open as well, as we can see, but taking these control mages can be a little bit risky because it then might open you up to getting that Fabled Akali pick.
Yeah, and that Akali pick would go really hard here for EDG just because of all the diving that they want to do. We saw them hover Galio for a minute as well. I think that would be quite a good shout. We could see the tried and true combo of Aurora Nocturne. Not as strong as it was at Worlds last year, but still damn strong in its own right. Being able to cause a lot of confusion for EDG's dive comp would be quite a big feather in the cap for that paranoia.
Yeah, I really wouldn't mind it, to be honest. And honestly, the Vi Rumble combo, we've seen it again at a very frequent amount of times where you just use cease and desist, you drop the equalizer on top of it, and it's a good 3 seconds of CC where they are burned and where they're destined to be cooking on that equalizer. We imagine in a late game team fight situation, WE have already got themselves a very solid 5 versus 5. You've got the ability to pick off one target, and you've got the ability to take small fights in those short skirmishes as well when you hit that level 6 marker. So WE looking pretty good with their composition. EDG as well, though. They have got this very solid dive style of comp where we've got 3, maybe 4 members that all want to go diving into that backline, and maybe just Angel feeling a little bit out in the lurch almost on this rise, where he doesn't get the opportunity to dive in unless he's realm warping, but even still, not necessarily the best dive champ in its own right. But EDG have got their own identity, WE as well, both teams that want to team fight and just look to do slightly different things with them.
I must say I'm a little disappointed in the rise pick for Angel. I think that Orianna he was hovering would have been a solid fit, because now you can say, okay, you've got Ori and Nico, but going in with this rise, I am interested to see if we're going to deliver Parukia to the back line with a potential large Pop Blossom. Who knows? You'll get WE at least once with that potentially, because once it happens once, they will avoid it like the plague for the rest of the game. I hope that. Oh. Now, I'm going to jinx it. How many pauses do you think we're going to get?
Net zero. Zero pauses today, Yanni.
Hopefully so. Hopefully so. But we've made it. We're on Summoner's Rift here. Game 1 of this best of 5 series. EDG and Team WE coming at you.
All right, well, we got some gyros, Yanni, and honestly, if after 45 minutes the crowd are a little less enthused, I can understand that. Yeah, I'm a little bit, I'm understanding of this almost.
Somebody's got 6th sense. Oh, nice. Okay, so we've spotted out that ward. Now, I am curious, Roodoo, what do you think about these early jungle pathings? Because Vi, a champion that can make an impact, but is one of those ones that really wants to farm up until 6. Whereas Xiaohao on the Xin Zhao, can eschew a couple of camps to try to put some pressure down.
Yeah, it's all about really these junglers for the early game, as we'd highlighted a little bit earlier on, that if they want to go for these plays nice and early, they're open to both junglers. It's just a little more favoured for Xiaohao, and that when you look at these two teams, we've highlighted so frequently that for WE's downfall, it's when Monki is not really feeling too hot, when he's the one who's been put behind, and that's maybe something that a Xin Zhao can do early on, especially with the ability to take these trades on the Xin Zhao nice and early. But I do want to remind everybody of the stakes of this series, Yanni, as we are finally in game for game number 1. Obviously, this is the play-in stage for the LPL. This is to get a position in top 8. For EDG, they've so far received 0 championship points through 2025, and their route to Worlds is not going to be easy, but it starts here with a series win versus WE to keep themselves still in contention. For WE, though, even if they lose this series, there is a very, very small chance that they can run the gauntlet and make it to Worlds. Obviously, for EDG, they would need an insane amount of championship points through this whole play-in bracket and playoff bracket to get a sniff at the gauntlet.
Yeah, it's a must-win match versus a you really should win match, and here we go. We're going to finally see some action here. Parukia trying to do some blocking of this Vaiku as On has taken the rough end of things. He's forced to flash away. Now he's going to get slowed up as Taeyoon and Monki are in hot pursuit. Vampire getting very low. Xiaohao here trying to cover and getting engaged on Monki. Wind becomes lightning, and the flash gets the kill. First blood for EDG, but that's not going to come without consequence as WE are able to flip it on its head, making a 2-for-1 for now. Monki going to get the shield. Taeyoon flashing forward, and Team WE are going to claim the feat of warfare 3 minutes in.
And it's a very big fight on the bot side. It's this Yunara, a champion that needs time to scale, who gets 2 kills early on, managing to probably go back to base, pick up a really good early buy, and have a very, very good outlook on the rest of this game. Starts with this early gank, and it's all about the fact that Vi's here first, that Monki forgoes those topside camps, makes his move down onto the bot side. On here with a flash to buy space, and it looks like he's going to be able to get out to safety. A good route from Parukia actually keeps On, nice and safe. And then honestly turning back around here, it is really scary as the Kaiser, and it does cost him. We know that there's still flash on Yunara, we know there's still flash on Vi, and even with the barrier, there's not enough HP for you to deal with. do think that Parukia here, if he doesn't flash this big wall, it is sort of wasting his flash to walk down like that. Taeyoon able to flash to follow and find much more damage back in the side of him. And a very, very good base like we talked about here. Big pickup early on for Taeyoon. Getting that Hearthbound Axe means he's going to be nice and safe, nice and ready to build toward that Kraken.
I love that you shouted out the really creative pathing. So we're going to see a little bit more here. A potential play onto Angel. He's going to take quite a bit of damage and be forced off. But if you want to learn how to path like Monki in your own solo queue games, you can take the opportunity to learn directly from pros themselves by using ProDiff. Whatever your rank, the best way to start climbing now is to schedule a coaching session over at prodiff.gg. You'll be able to work one-on-one with an active or recent player in the NACL, the ERLs, or even the LTA, who will teach you to play like a pro. Get personalized coaching from the pros today at prodiff.gg using code LPL10 at checkout to save 10% and help support the LPL English broadcast.
And I'm so glad you used Monki in that intro, Yanni, because it was really all about him through the early game. We highlighted this in the draft, that this series is going to live and die by how well these jungle and support duos can link up, and how well it is that Monki makes that move early on. We were talking about the fact that he needs to be the player who is either disrupted or will run the game. And in game number 1, he found that early gank, he found that early lead, and it came off of some atypical pathing, right? We so frequently see from junglers a move into a full clear and then maybe a gank afterwards. But Monki this time round did his blue-red Krugs and then immediately into the bot lane. He got level 3, made his move down to the bot side and made his impact felt as well. With a very, very good gank early on. Now even looking to move in as a potential 3-man core to disrupt Xiaohao on his clear.
Yeah, really a ballsy move by Monki. We can't really stress that enough because we talked about so much of needing to be stable out of your jungle, and now we're going to try to see them make a play onto Angel. He is level 6, so we'll see if he's able to find a way out without flash, but no, he will have to burn it, so another successful play over in the mid lane.
Now a Rise with no flash, a Vi who's about to hit level 6. That spells a little bit of disaster for Angel in the mid lane. Obviously, we came into today and we highlighted his KDA in particular through the regular season was 10.3. So this guy does not die very often. And if he does, he's getting a boatload of kills and assists in tandem with it. So I'd expect to see now a lot of safety put around this mid lane by EDG. You know, we can already see double wards covering his bot side, so we know that there's no entrance for Monki down in that bot lane. And actually, with a good push on the bot side, EDG, and despite that early loss, are able to take this first dragon. We've got grubs spawning in a minute's time, so likelihood is that WE will trade for those in a little bit's time here. But a good early opener for EDG down on that bot side, despite the issues they found themselves in.
Yeah, we'll see if EDG wants a piece of Team WE. If I'm them, I'm saying hell no. I don't want to go anywhere near Taeyoon right now. We now see that Monki is at level 6. He's going to go take a recall here, and his flash is also going to be up. So it's big play time for the Team WE jungler, who has been such a large crux in the success of this team. As you mentioned, Grub is going to be the next site of any potential fight. Xiaohao already up on the top side. We are going to see Autumn and Parukia take their backs and head to the bottom side here, so it doesn't appear EDG has any interest in contesting these grubs.
No early swaps coming through, really from either side though. That early push though, the fact that Taeyoon and Vampire are able to find the first recall does mean that they can push in that next wave, move up through the river, and at the very least threaten that they will look for these grubs, and most likely is that Vampire will stick around Taeyoon, probably going to curve back down to this bot lane. But it's a really good look for WE through this early game. Again, a team that, as you sort of talked about, a team that should really win this series, and a team that I think have been much better than a 7th seed from Group Ascend, up against EDG, who honestly, again, excited us through the early season, and didn't really fall off too bad. They ended the season nice and strong. They ended 8-2, had a very, very good look. But a team that could potentially have taken series up against some of our better you know, Ascend rivals, but up against WE, I do think they've drawn a little bit of a short straw. And, you know, even in game number 1, they're finding that it's a little bit hard just for the time being, as you get confirmation that those grubs have been taken down. 4 people on this bot side for EDG, and they could be looking to try and punish the Yunara.
Well, Karis is going to walk in blind and take a bit of a rough trade, although Monki is on the way. And Team WE want to pursue this. They're looking to really close the walls in on EDG here. Good route coming out onto Vampire. Heal's already getting burnt, and here we go. We're going all in, baby. Taeyoon off on the side, well protected. Not a whole lot of mana as Monki face tanking a whole lot. He'll be able to get out without too much of an issue. Karis will burst out Parukia.
And that's a really big pick there for Karis. Just in a little scuffle almost, where teams are firing around, dancing, and it's WE that come out on top of the skirmish. Parukia sticks around just a little bit too long, gets hit by an electrocute proc that maybe wasn't expecting, and the burst from the Aurora nice and early. You can see this is, this isn't a vegan build that we've got from the Aurora early doors. We've got some AP in there, a Dark Seal as well, and it's a really good spot for Karis to be in. One of our players who we highlighted from WE side, we might expect to be a little bit outclassed, outmatched in this 1v1.
Yeah, and Angel's gonna have to take a long time to scale up. We see Rise do it all the time. Got the Catalyst, got the tier. It means you don't have a lick of damage. You are at least gonna be a little tanky, but given the fact of EDG being on the back foot so early on in this game, you have to worry for Angel's chances if you're an EDG fan to be able to scale into this game.
Yeah, and I think that scaling is a really big proponent of this EDG composition. You got Kai'Sa, who loves getting to 5-6 items. You got Rise, loves getting there as well. And then Ornn as well. When those levels start to ding through, gives you the upgrades, give you the ornaments to do that. Then Nico engage later on as well. Very, very easy to land and quite difficult to try to play around, and can have such a high impact. All that to contrast with the fact that WE scaling is based exclusively in Taeyoon. This Yunara is the part of the map where we will expect to see WE play towards as this game gets later. Already started out with this Kraken Slayer, is very, very ahead of the curve, as you can see, with a 600 gold lead in just his matchup individually. It's worth mentioning that Ornn here has got just 3 more waves, really, until his cull pops, and he'll be able to maybe get back to parity with the Yunara. But for the time being, with Drake spawning in a minute, with the movements around the map, and still 3 minutes left before those plates fall, this is a good chance for WE to make plays happen.
Yeah, we're going all in onto Parukia, forcing the flash out, so it's going to be a little bit harder, but he wants it with his Pop Blossom. He's going to land onto 3 members, and Team WE have bit off a bit more than they can chew. Vampire able to hop away. Taeyoon, though, is ascended, looking to get as much damage as he can. Xiaohao for the secondary engage. They find Vampire. Taeyoon's got a split. So does Karis. A 2-for-1 for right now, but Angel not giving it up with the flash forward, looking for more. Won't be able to find it.
And it's very, very close here, but EDG come out on top. WE extend just a little too far forward on the Realm Warp. Actually, the big difference maker there. Able to turn this fight into a 4 versus 3 in the jungle before the Aurora can find their way into the skirmish. As EDG collapse, they punish. They get a bit of a shutdown there as well. Gets some gold onto the Kaisa. Get some gold into the back pockets of those carries that really, really matter. It's a good little pickup.
Did find his 3rd kill in that fight. Is worth noting. As you mentioned, now on parity, he does have both summoners for any potential fight. With this dragon being up, I imagine Team WE are still likely to lick their wounds a little bit here. Monki's ultimate down, no flash either. It seems like it's going to be tough conditions.
Yeah, the ulti's being missing. Honestly, on both sides, doesn't make it too easy, but we did get to see there from Parukia a great use of the Pop Blossom. Got 3 members caught up, and you can see the power that this does have. Do you think that without those ultis, it's probably EDG who feel a little bit worse for wear, as Parukia here, quick face check, has to burn summon a heal to get out, but WE have started up this dragon here, and look who's here. The top laners have come to party.
Yeah, ready to make an impact. Call the Forge God along with Equalizer, and here's Vampire getting bursted out. Backside is secured by Xiaohao. Stolen away, and EDG looking for the chase down. They're not going to be able to find anything more onto Team WE, but it is a 2-for-0 plus the dragon.
Yeah, WE standing for woeful errors there in that team fight, as an absolutely awful team fight takes place. They lose out on 2, they lose the dragon as well, and nothing comes to bear. Now EDG with 2 Drakes to 0, looking to bear down on Karis and Monki in this bot side jungle as well. Not able to find too much just yet, but Ornn moved into that mid lane, is able to find some plating gold alongside ZDZ. And EDG almost turning this game back into their favour again. They have the scaling as this game gets later with the Rise and the Kaisa to be able to do good work. And this fight just engaged by EDG. Xiaohao gets straight on top of Taeyoon. That large DPS carry that we talked about. Look at the damage that Taeyoon's able to do in this fight. He's hitting the dragon. Smite secured by Xiaohao as Karis looked for the smite auto attack combo, but didn't quite have the timing of both of them down. And without your Yunara being able to do any damage, it's completely understandable that WE would lose that fight.
And now EDG are up gold. On is up 500 gold on Taeyoon right now. That is a big concern. This early lead hasn't been converted super well. We see Cube teleporting and is just barely going to escape.
They are diving.
Now we're going to see a 5-man dive. They're throwing everything and the kitchen sink and the rest of the appliances too. And they're going to take first turret as well.
Yeah, but what do they lose on the rest of the map here? Likelihood is that the mid lane turret might drop as well. Top lane is very healthy, so they might not be able to take that in exchange. But with 5 people down on that bot side, they're able to clear that wave very quickly. And actually, it looks like between Taeyoon and Cube, they're looking to put some damage down on that tier 2 turret as well. I really favour this for EDG, I'm going to be honest. Your Ornn getting killed doesn't really mean too much. He's going to be an Ornn in the late game anyway, and getting a solo turret on your Kai'Sa, for me, that's much, much better for EDG.
Yeah, they split so much gold amongst that. The saving grace is that Taeyoon did pick up kill number 4. Again, we're just really watching for Team WE to be able to convert this later on, given the fact that they kind of bungled the early game a little bit with this early lead that they had. But now you're going to have to go band for band with a late game Ryze and a late game Kai'Sa, which could make itself very difficult. We do have a Rift Herald up, ready for consumption for whichever team really wants it. Monki's got to shake off the failed secure of the dragon and try to lead Team WE.
Looking at that Rift Herald on the top side, it's WE who have started it up. I don't know that they'll be able to get this though, as we've still got ultis available across the map for EDG, and yeah, they're going to walk in, they're going to contest, and honestly probably force WE away from this. There's been some good chip damage put down by the Herald. Vampire's half HP, Monki's taken a decent proportion of his health as well, and especially with no mid-tier 1 to fall back to. EDG playing this mid wave very well. All they need to do is walk in, push that wave, and now that's an entire wave of experience that WE are going to miss, because that's another mid wave lost.
Yeah, they are playing things really, really well, Roodoo. And it looks like Team WE are going to commit for this Rift Herald. It's not really that low. It's only at 6,000 HP. It is starting to drop a little bit. Palkia's got Flash Pop Blossom!
Oh,
and
shit!
He finds 3 members! Backline on! Causing chaos! But Cube is running everybody over. He was in the danger zone. He's not anymore. Flashing forward with Karis, but Xiaohao's healing. It's too much to deal with. Angel will run down Karis, root him up, and take him out. And it's another EDG victory.
4 for 3 overall, but look at the standing members for EDG. Jungle and mid lane, they can take this objective. No harm, no foul. Whereas for WE, they lost Taeyoon immediately. Look at this engage, and once again, it's Parukia who finds that backline access. Yes, Taeyoon cleanses really, really quickly, but the Kai'Sa's there, the Ornn's there, there's just too much damage, and for EDG, their game plan has been simple. It has been take down Yunara, win fight, and that has been how they've been going out with this, and they did such a good job at engaging that fight. Again, coming up from Parukia, the player that we mentioned. This is your step up now. This is your chance. You've not had these stage games versus the Group Ascend supports, versus the Group Ascend teams. Are you still going to have that same agency? And in this game, Yanni, so far, so good.
It's only game 1, but that star is starting to shine just a bit. And we're going to do it all again in 15 seconds. This is sole point for EDG to put them on 3 dragons. So we'll see if Team WE are going to look for yet another fight. They have been a team that is known to just take whatever fight they find. They have not really met a fight they ever hated. And it looks like they're ready to go too.
Yeah, I think they're just going to have to keep trying to battle their way through this here, as we've got some good items coming through on the flip side, right? We've got some good pen from Karis, and Andre's picked up as well. You really want to take these fights, especially before it gets too much worse as well.
Oh wait, Monki's been spotted.
The Ryze are going to scale.
Yeah, he's been spotted on the backside, so it's going to fade EDG toward him. It's going to let Vampire and Karis try to get in. Monki is going so deep, looking for On, but he's all alone. Pop Blossom is not going to do a damn thing. But that equalizer combined with Karis takes out Palkia. Man advantage for WE.
And when EDG can't find those engages, they fumble, they aren't able to get access to Yunara. It means that these fights are so much more difficult. Now, with a 5 versus 4 on the map, WE didn't even start it up. They're looking for the tier 1 mid lane, but also looking to try to take this dragon as well. Parukia is going to be up in 4 seconds, Yanni. Rift Herald's down in the bot side, and EDG, they're just running the map at the minute.
Yeah, and this Rift Herald is making a beeline back toward this dragon. Team WE are going to go try to shove down mid here, going to try to make a play on Angel. They're not going to have it, but they are going to siege and take out the mid-tier 1 turret. Dragon still, wait, no, they can't. Hold on, the Touch of the Void might take it out, but we don't really care about that because this dragon, the 3rd dragon, is secured for EDG. That turret is still standing for them in the mid lane.
An Angel with a really clutch play there, realm warping into the mid lane to clear out that wave, defending the tier 1 turret. They effectively lose nothing. EDG lost the fight, they lost their support, but looking at what came after that, EDG took bot tier 1 with the Rift Herald, they defended their own mid tier 1, and they took the dragon, pushing themselves to Soul Point. Yes, WE may have won the fight, but they absolutely lost out in the back end of it. The objective trades did not go their way. WE can feel maybe a little bit silly about how they navigated that. They were caught in 2 minds. Did they want the dragon? Did they want the mid-tier 1? Did they want to defend bot lane? And in the end, they did none of them.
Otacon has now spawned. It has been a throw magnet for many teams in the LPL in Split 3, much like it was all the way back in Split 1. If you can remember, we saw so many ill-advised fights. We have seen more, and usually the Otacon fight's going to be the big differentiator, and whoever's going to secure it, I imagine, will have a large leg up here in Game 1.
Taeyoon pushes in this mid wave, and it's just 1 minion hit, so that tier 1 will fall in the mid lane. Finally, a little bit of a reprieve for WE, a little bit of gold being picked up by them, but looking at these items, and for all, he's very, very close to Terminus here as that 3rd item, so going very heavily into this auto-attack style and being able to DPS down that front line, not necessarily looking toward the poke, instead deciding he needs to be the physical damage threat for his team. And then we look on the flip side, Taeyoon, nowhere near his 3rd item. Whatever it may be, we'd like to think it's an Infinity Edge, but it may end up having to be one of the last Whisper items to try and cut through ZDZ at this stage. It's looking very good for EDG. Their scaling components are getting there as Angel now under fire.
Yeah, he's going to flash away. The Vampire's going to try to run him down.
Phase rush.
On is on the way. Angel, yeah, that phase rush, you mentioned it. It's going to give him enough movement speed to get out. Now EDG are going to look for the turn. ZDZ has shown up. Here comes the call of the Forge God. It's going to land flush onto Karis. He's going to go between worlds all the way to the back line, but that world will be death. And now Taeyoon has been caught. The Pop Blossom's not going to hit anybody because he's already dead.
Round warp
For the rest of them, trying to turn it around. Xiaohao still alive, but will finally fall. But On and the rest of EDG will clean up the fight. That is an ace, and that is Otacon.
That's a 5-for-1 for EDG. A fight that was engaged by WE turns on their heads immediately, as it is Edward Gaming more than happy to take that fight, find themselves the Otacon as well. And Angel, once again, their mid laner that stands firm. He's the person who gets initially engaged on, takes a slightly risky pathing, but creates so much space. How does Vampire get in to do CC? How does Karis get in to do damage? When he's so far away, it's a great flash over the wall to buy some sort of terrain, and he's sucked WE so far in that Karis has no chance of getting out. ZDZ can come in and do all the work that he needs to, and then, importantly there, a very good route prevents the Aurora from being able to put down that big burst from the E that comes out. A nice realm warp finishes off this fight, and WE really had nowhere to go after this. But on picking up a couple kills, Angel standing tall. It's again these scaling aspects from EDG that just keep getting gold.
A large underlying theme for Team WE is that because of all the pressure that Monki has had on his shoulders this season, he has made a few critical mistakes that have costed Team WE games, and that feels like one of them. It feels like this entire game has really hinged on his decision-making, and he has struggled in that department, and you really saw it right there for that play. And now EDG, with a near 4,000 gold lead, with the entire world in their hands, a Fed Rise, a Fed Kaisa, with Ornn items to boot. It is a mountain for WE to climb.
Let's just take a quick look as well. On has 100% kill participation. Nobody else on his team does. When have we ever seen this in a competitive game, and especially in the LPL, where it's the AD carry being mobile, being on the map, being a part of everything? You know, even in these big team fights, he's able to dish out so much damage and do it to so many people as well. Now has that Terminus finished and has been able to pump out damage, has caught up and vastly exceeded Taeyoon in a game where it looks like that was going to be anything but the case, as the Yunara got a really good boost early on in this match. Now with 10 seconds on the Dragon, 10 seconds on the Soul for EDG. It's on WE to try and make a play, to try and stop this from happening. See if they can get access to Angel 2 on and take them down.
This Dragon has been started up. Karis has been spotted on the backside here, just trying to get whatever damage he can. Taeyoon is on the way. Here comes the call of the Forge God. It's going to land onto Monki, onto the Rumble as well. Here comes the Pop Blossom, and they find the jungler. They secure the Soul, and EDG are ready to party. Parukia is taking a lot of damage. Taeyoon trying to do what he can. He's still alive. He finds the jungler. He's trying so hard to drag WE across the finish line, but he
Angel
just
triple.
can't do it. Vampire will be run down. He is on his horse and he will escape, but EDG get the real prize. They get that Soul.
And if they weren't so far behind, maybe WE could have won that fight. But EDG are able to wallet check them. Angel's able to once again stand up and take down WE. A triple kill for the Rise in that fight, and it never really looked like he was going to get touched. A nice re-engage from Vampire wasn't enough to turn the tide to this fight, and we'll get to see it once again. It's Monki, unfortunately, gets bounced around in this team fight, knocked up, brittle procced, knee code, dead. No impact from Monki in this fight whatsoever. Look at this engage from Vampire though. We get Realm Warp on, and the Equalizer rather, on top of the Magnet Storm. On does fall. Karis is able to do some really good damage, and Taeyoon again gets that DPS out. But it's that Realm Warp from Angel that just slightly repositions him, just slightly gives him a different angle. A greatly timed stasis as he goes golden to dodge out the burst from the Aurora. He keeps himself safe, he keeps himself alive, and 8-0-2 on this Rise, Yanni. He continues to perform.
Simply put, in this game, Roodoo, the battery of Angel and On have been just a bit better than Karis and Taeyoon. That has been a large difference maker in these fights. Vampire in a little bit of trouble as he's trying to fight for whatever vision he can get to make sure that Team WE is aware when EDG tries to start this Baron. It's just one last avenue for them to try to find a way in a game where Mountain Soul is draped over the shoulders of EDG. It is going to be difficult, but it is not impossible.
Not by any means. Taeyoon again, this Yunara, a champion that does scale so incredibly well into the late game. If by some miracle WE can make it there, there's a world that they can rely on Taeyoon to be that carry. Monki thought he was forced away. EDG now sniffing. They may find access.
He's going for On. The exhaust is out. Here's the Pop Blossom. Splits up the fight. Big knockup from ZDZ. And it's Taeyoon and On trading blows over on the side. But it's too much for Taeyoon to handle. Monkey's got to get out. And Angel... Oh, he almost faked them out, but Monki is on the wrong side of the tracks as EDG convincingly win this fight and pings onto the Baron.
Yeah, they don't need the Vi to go down. They know that if she sniffs around, she's just going to die on this trade. But the Kaiser On with a brilliant stasis, baits in Monki, makes WE think for just a second that the Kaiser might fall. But with a Killer Instinct to reposition, with a going golden, keeps EDG alive, keeps On alive, keeps the Baron in their back pocket. We'll get a replay of this. Monki, heat-seeking missile onto the Kaiser. Exhaust goes down. The knockup comes through, but the CC's just not there. Vampire turns his attention to the clump instead of focusing on. And as soon as he comes out of going golden, he turns tail and rips through Taeyoon, rips through EDG. All the while again, Angel on the backside, absolutely fine, unchecked. No problems for this Rise. As now with Baron, Soul, Ornn, the scaling of this EDG composition, all at their backs. It feels really tricky to see a world where WE can claw their way back into this game.
It is time for EDG to close this one out, and looking to leave Monki winless on this Vi We're just waiting for them to all get together. The good news for WE is if EDG don't end in the next 2 minutes, you can always flip the game at Elder. You never know what can happen when an Elder spawns, and now the push is on. The Baron siege is here.
And just how do you even get through the DPS that the EDG put out, right? You have to out DPS and out tank EDG, which is just not possible. They don't have enough damage to compare with On and Angel at this stage. They don't have enough tankiness to compare with ZDZ at this stage in the game. It really feels like they're going to have to rely on EDG just mispositioning, on EDG just being a little bit split.
Oh, but here's a teleport, and Monki's all the way in no man's land. Vampire immediately falls, and Angel ready to go. Here's the Realm Warp. Taeyoon caught between a rock and a hard place. It's a double kill for On. He gets lit on fire, but he stands through the fire and the flames as a winner with the rest of his squad here in Game 1.
And another glorious fight from EDG. Again, it's WE. They never saw a fight that they didn't like. And unfortunately, they found out that this fight was not for them very, very quickly.
Vampire is up in 2 seconds. This minion is out of range. They are being griefed by the Baron. But I don't think it's going to matter with Monki up in 10 seconds. Vampire going to try to do what he can, but he's nothing more than a melee minion at this point. EDG will put the finishing touches on Game 1 in a 30-minute affair.
And just like that, Rafa's prediction looks just a little bit more likely, as it's only Game 1 of this best of 5. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves. But that was a game that WE had an advantage in the early stages of this game, but it's one that EDG fought back with. And you know, we were looking in the early stages of this game, in the draft of this game, in the pre-show to this series. Which points are we looking at to be those points of contention? Is Parukia going to have the chops to stand up tall to WE and to the Ascend seeds? Absolutely, yes, he is.
Yeah, he looked great. He had a really useful Nico game. It wasn't sparkling, but he had a lot of really strong moments. It's not only how well he played, but it's a big takeaway from Vampire. He's not going to have that in the back pocket either. A really successful game for EDG, not just for winning, but also some tools that they've taken away out of the support pool. Going to have reverberations down the line. And for Team WE, I mean, you know, we talk all about how Monki is the big driver, right? Well, he drove him right off a cliff that game. His decision-making was very poor in the mid-game before this rise got really large, and then by the time he got big, unfortunately, you really only have one lockdown button outside of an ultimate from Vampire, right? So if the carries split themselves apart, you kill one, but the other is going to rip your face off.
Yeah, there's several instances where Monki's unfortunately just gone a little bit too deep, and the way that EDG bought space from the Vi in this game was honestly pretty incredible. Like, they were just constantly playing who can tank the Vi between Angel and On in this game, which is pretty wild to say that your mid laner and your AD carry both were kind of happy to tank Vials. We've got stasis on both of them as we reach the late game. Even through that mid game, there are some really good flashes, there are some really good ways to buy space and make it so that it's unfortunately just the Vi who's wailing on you. And in a game like that, where Monki was pretty deprived of resources, where everything's getting funneled into Taeyoon, the Vi doesn't have the ability to go 1v1 versus Karis, to go 1v1 versus Arise. It's just not in their nature. And unfortunately, that was felt. That was heavily felt. And for EDG, it was a pretty rough spot. Or a pretty good spot, even.
Yeah. And for WE, it's back to the drawing board, because you gave some power into your solo lanes here. Cube had a couple of okay equalizers, had that one fight up on the top side around the Herald that looked like he was able to kind of tilt it a little bit more toward Team WE, but never had that large takeover that you would expect out of a Rumble. Sure, he did the most damage in the game, but by the time that damage really came through, he had a great equalizer in the last Dragon fight. It was far too late.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, this kind of speaks to the power that Cube did have in this game, and maybe the lack there of power for Karis, for Taeyoon, where you maybe weren't expecting this from Cube, as he was, you know, maybe ramping up the damage in the early game quite a bit, but even in these late game team fights, he was looking like maybe the largest threat that EDG had to contend with. And for me, you know, definitely one of the more unsung heroes of WE in this game, despite the fact that obviously it didn't really go their way. You can see that in these post-game statistics as well, Arn doing such a good job at keeping himself mobile on the map as well. And we'll get a run through of all of these highlights, and there wasn't really a fight that WE ever actually won after that initial 3 versus 3.
Yeah, and this is the big fight that you knew that, ooh, EDG are just playing a little bit snappier, right? They decide, okay, we will sacrifice the dragon, but they get it anyway, right? And then you just see play after play made by Parukia. He had a lot of really critical pop blossoms to just put his team ahead, and EDG managed to stay there. And now, Roodoo, it's time to talk player of the game for game 1. Do you give it to your mid laner, this rise out of Angel, who later on in the game did so much, or do you give it to An, who had such high kill participation, tied for the most with Xiaohao?
Or do you give it to Parukia for all of the engages that he found, right? Like, I'm honestly a little bit more inclined to try to give it to the support, because I do think that in this game, there were so many big Nico pop blossoms, so much engaged threat that Parukia found. There are arguments for a majority of this EDG composition. I think that maybe ZDZ, maybe the least impactful member necessarily, but that's not to say that he played poorly by any means. Was just
he made some
kind of playing on. And I think that, you know, we've got certain instances where Parukia has massive engages, where Arn's doing so much DPS, where Angel is just so consistent in all of these team fights. No one player stood out above the rest, really. But there are so many ways that you could look to slice this that I'm not really too worried either way. I think my big takeaway from maybe the LPL in general is when are we going to stop seeing Yunara without a good support to pair her up with? I feel like Yunara is slowly teetering into this Cogmore Twitch vein where you kind of need a hyper carry support as well to pair alongside it. We need a Lulu, we need a Sona, we need a Yuumi to go alongside her for her to be able to navigate these team fights, because unfortunately she just feels so lost in the majority of these skirmishes without the power of a team there behind her.
You know, I haven't really thought about that, mostly because